Hi, Yogi. Lizzie Lassiter here with a new Moon Mail class for you. We send out free full-length monthly classes. In case you found this class any other way, please go to lassiter.yoga and subscribe to our new Moon Mail to find these in your inbox every new moon. The new moon is an energy of new beginnings, fresh starts, new intentions. And today's class is based on our experiential anatomy course. This is a massive course, totally changed the way I practice and the way I teach. The idea behind today's class is I've picked out 5 principles from that course, things that I learned and felt in my body. And we're going to do an asana sequence, kind of a well-rounded class. We will do Shavasana at the end, but throughout, I will be speaking to these 5 principles, cueing them so you can get a sense of what the learning from this course might feel like in your body and in your teaching. The course is designed for serious students, for yoga teachers. Starting today, the new moon in September 2023, until September 27th, when the next semester of the course begins with a new group of students, we are offering 40% off. That's huge. Let me share my screen with you and show you where you can find the course. It's here. If you go to lassiter.yoga, you scroll down, you find Experiential Anatomy, and you click through. You can watch the video, read more. It's 40% off for this limited time to encourage the next group of students to jump in to the course. And you can get that discount with the code back to school. Back to school, you'll find 40% off when you enroll here. All right, let's talk about the principles for today's class. Another screen share here. I've written them out for our visual learners. Experiential anatomy principles. So these are 5 of the many you will learn in the course. The first one is when you raise your arms up over your head, either to the side or in front, when the arms land in full flexion, allow your shoulder blades to lift up with the arms. We're going to feel that today on the mat. Number 2, in back bends, when you are doing extension movements, do not tuck your tailbone. It is non-physiologic. It does not fit with the way the body wants to move. We'll feel that as well today. Number 3, when you twist from the pelvis. So no anchoring your sit bones, unfortunately. In forward bends, number 4, tilt your pelvis forward. I think this one feels quite obvious, but it's about unlearning that set of movements. Many of us have been taught to kind of back bend into forward bends. We feel this in Uttanasana. We feel this in seated forward bends. And the last one is to release the occiput. The occiput is this bone at the base of the skull. And I've been practicing with this a lot. It's a kind of awareness trigger for me in my body. Often I notice I'm holding some tightness here. It is associated with forward head, which so many of us have. And especially when we do forward bends today together, I'm going to remind us to release the occiput. You will want to have a strap and a couple blocks for the practice, as well as everything you use for Shavasana. So a bolster, a couple blankets, and eye cover. Let's move to the mat. We'll begin lying down. An auspicious start. Utthita Hasta in Tadasana. So come lying onto your back. Here. Find the breath. Oh, the welcome relief of the horizontal position. Take a few rounds of breath here. As you begin to set the frame of the body. It's as if you're practicing Tadasana, mountain pose, but you're lying down. So the feet are flexed as if you're standing up on the floor. Press the top thighs back. Extend and lengthen a little bit the back of the neck. On your next inhalation, sweep the arms up and over the head. Utthita Hasta. Bringing the shoulder blades with you. So let's do the opposite for a second. hold your shoulder blades down. Many of us have been taught for many, many years. Maybe we've practiced, maybe we have taught for many years, this movement pattern of holding the shoulder blades down. So try that now. And then reverse. Lengthen the hands away from you. And one last time, the last time you're ever going to do this entraps the supraspinatus tendon. It's unhealthy for the shoulder joint, the longevity and the health of your shoulder joint. And then release. Let the shoulder blades come up. It's part of the natural rhythm of the shoulder, the glenohumeral rhythm. The shoulder blades move with the shoulder, with the arm as we lift up. And exhale. Bring the arm back. Once again, inhaling, lift up, let the shoulder blades move up with you. Feel them sliding up the back body towards your hands. And exhale. Let's try moving them to the side. Reach them along the floor and all the way up. Land with the palms facing each other. Shoulder blades flying up. And exhale, sweep them to the side. One more in each direction. Inhale. Yoga is a breath practice. And exhale. Beginning to link the breath and the movement. This is really powerful. Sweeping the arms to the side now. Last time, reaching up, lengthening through the feet, through the fingertips. And exhale. I like teaching it, practicing it here on the floor because it's like a different relationship with gravity. So it's a chance we can relearn this movement pattern that we're so used to holding the shoulder blades down. Let them fly up and move up with you. But this applies, we're doing it here on the floor, but as we'll do later in the practice, it applies when you're standing up. In any position with gravity, dog pose, standing up, you'll move the shoulder blades with the arms. Take your strap now, and we're going to raise the right leg. But what I would like is not just raise it up and bulge the abdomen out. I'd like you to imagine that your hip is pressing down. The head of the femur is pressing down as you swing the leg up. Let's try that one more time. Go down here to fly up. Down here, yes. Then catch the foot with the strap. Elbows are bent onto the mat. My leg is straight if that's possible. If you need to bend, then you can. Or actually what I prefer is if you need to reduce the intensity of the pose, bend the left leg here. If you can, keep the left leg straight, the right leg straight. And now we're going to breathe here and work to make space in the hip. Move your femur towards your left foot, towards the straight leg, ground foot, grounding leg. A couple breaths here. Breathing through the nose. Here, I draw my shoulder blades down the back because my arms are not extended there. I move my shoulder blades, my right pelvis down. All right, now we're going to take a twist. Take a hold of the strap with your left hand and bring the leg up and over, but not folding it on the body. Imagine you're moving it away from you and forward. I'm coming all the way so that my belly button is almost turned towards the floor, really twisting from the pelvis here, another principle. The pelvis begins to twist. And then we begin to resist with this right elbow coming up. Begin with the elbow. That's really gentle on the shoulder. Begin with the elbow. Breathing here. Creating that dynamic twist between the right pelvis moving away and from the right elbow. And then if you like, you can straighten The right arm, bring the thumb down towards the floor. One more breath here. And release. Twists begin in the hips. That's how you keep your sacroiliac joint happy. Inhale, one cleansing breath here, Utthita Hasta. Shoulder blades fly up. And exhale. Release. Second side. Left leg comes up. Establish the frame. I like the elbows bent because then they rest on the floor. The right leg is straight. The left lifted leg now is extending, and I move this left femur away from my torso. I love that movement. I learned that from mom in this pose. It's really delicious. It's one of those movements, it sounds subtle when you cue it, but when you find it in your body, it's like discovering a whole new room in your house. That spaciousness there. One more breath. Take a hold of the strap in your right hand. And now it's as if this leg, we're going to go to the twist, is jumping up and over. So it comes up and over. And I'm really bringing my belly to the floor. It's not just crossing it over here. I need to bring the pelvis, this left pelvis, with me into the twist. The left pelvis goes with the left leg. And the resistance happens higher up. Now I move my rib cage and twist my rib cage away, leading with the left elbow. Yes or no? If you're not feeling a yes, then you need to do less or adjust your body to find a sensation that feels like a nourishing stretch. Do not go beyond your limits. Again, creating space by moving this left pelvis away from your torso. One more breath. And release. Unwind. Find your way one last time. Supta Tadasana. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Shoulder blades fly up. One empty breath here, no movement. And exhale. Release. Funny how we've done two poses and I already feel a shift. Roll onto your belly. One definition that I really love of yoga, a very simple definition, is heart up, brain down. So throughout our practice today, we can return to that idea. Heart up, brain down. Don't think so much. If some of these movement patterns are new for you, don't think so much about how it's supposed to be or what you learned or why. Don't get in your head. Get into your heart, get into the sensation. Feel these new ideas. Come all the way onto your belly. Forehead down. Tops of the feet pressing into the floor. We're going to do a couple cobras. Begin by drawing the shoulder blades down towards your waist, pressing into the hands, and begin to lift up gently. Any amount. The inhalation, the exhalation brings you down. Resist the urge if you've been taught to press the tops of the feet into the floor, because that, you can try it now. When you press the tops of your feet into the floor, it makes you want to tuck. It engages the abdominal muscles. We don't want to engage the abdominal muscles here. We are lengthening the front body in a back bend. Inhale. Shoulder blades lift up, and we lift up. And exhale. We're going to pulse a couple times here with the breath. Inhale. Tailbone lifts. Let the feet be as wide as they want to be. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Lift up and pause. My feet are wide. My palms are pressing. My heart is lifting. My brain is down. Do a little bit less with the neck and more with the heart. Exhaling, come back through hands and knees. Let's do a cat-cow. It's not on my list here. It's not on the sequence, but I love a cat-cow. Exhale. Round, drop the head, release the occiput, the back of the head here, the back of the skull. Let it completely soften. Notice a tendency that you might have to kind of resist here, to think here, to lift up. Completely let go from there. And inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, breath and movement. Yoga is a breath practice. Can you bring 51% of your attention to the breath and 49% of your attention to the movement? Almost like the movement is a side effect, a consequence. In German, a Nebenwirkung of the breath. One more time, inhale. And exhale. All right, we're moving back to Uttanasana. Turn the toes and walk yourself. Occiput is heavy, the back of the neck is long. Come into a standing forward fold. If you need to take blocks here, hands on blocks, do it. Absolutely do it. I want the legs straight though. Inhale, come up to standing. I like to sweep the arms up and release. Okay, so this principle of tilting the pelvis forward in a forward bend. This is a paired set of movements. When we do a forward bend, the pelvis wants to tilt forward. We're overriding that with our kind of yoga ideas. When we do something like this, which many of you have done, I practiced and taught for years, this diving forward in a back bend. Can you see how my tailbone is lifting as I'm coming forward, and then eventually here I round? So let's try the opposite, the experiential anatomy principle-based idea. Inhale the breath. Exhale. Put one hand on your belly and one hand on your head as an experiment here, and fold forward into Uttanasana without shifting the relationship between those 2 points. Yeah. And release the head. Inhale. Come back up. Big breath so you don't get dizzy. Let's try it again. Another way of feeling it is to put your hands on the front body here, kind of establishing the relationship between the front hip points and the lower floating ribs. So when we arch and back bend into this forward bend, we shift. What happens automatically is then we shift the rib cage forward, and you feel it on your hands if you place them on the front body. We're not tucking here, absolutely not. But when we come forward, I have a normal curve here in my lumbar. I keep that curve, and the pelvis tilts, 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 tilts as I round forward. So the hands on the front body, try it one more time. The hands on the front body become a kind of guide for you, like a external strut that reminds you. And then here they start to close together as I round. That reminds you of that relationship. Okay, let's just hang out in Uttanasana a couple breaths on the fingertips, or maybe you take a hold of the elbows if that feels good. Releasing the occiput. Let it hang out. I notice there's so much tension that I'm holding here. I'm always doing my poses like this. I'm looking up, I'm thinking. And in life, there's a lot there. Relax the tongue. And inhale. Come all the way up to standing. Heart up. Brain down. Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. I like to have blocks for standing poses, 2 blocks nearby. So Vera 1, I step my right foot forward. And many of us have been taught to really work hard to square that back pelvis forward, forward, forward. We are not going to do that today. We are going to resist the urge to square that back pelvis aggressively forward. One thing we're going to do, I learned this from Mary Richards, who is our co-teacher in Experiential Anatomy. She's a yoga therapist, anatomy nerd. Move your front foot, in this case, the right foot, to the right. Give yourself a lot of space, especially if you have hips. If you're in a female body, give yourself some space. Get off the tightrope. Okay, so now I want this left pelvis to come forward, but I'm not aggressively squaring the front hip points, okay? Because my femurs are doing, because especially the back femur is doing this extension movement, I'm not really going to be able to square it 100%. So we're going to give up that idea. The second idea is to give up the idea of lengthening the tailbone or tucking when I'm in this pose. So I let my tail, I keep the natural curve. Actually, Vera 1 is a back bend. Newsflash. Okay, inhale. Start with the hands on the hips. And exhaling, bend that front knee. Coming towards 90 degrees. Inhale. We're going to flirt with the pose a little bit. Exhale. Coming down. Inhale. Feeling that heat build. Let's go for 5 breaths. That one is 3. Inhale. 4. Inhale. 5. So I'm letting the curve. It feels so much better. Exhale. Step forward. When it feels better, the pose, that is a cue, a kind of clue that you're moving in the direction of anatomical reality. Second side. Left foot is forward. I have space between my feet, and I'm keeping the natural curve here. I'm allowing myself to be an extension, moving towards back bending. Exhale, bend the front knee, moving towards 90. Inhale, that was 1. 2. 3. Oh yes, inhale. 4. And last one, as my kids say, last more. Exhale. And inhale. Come to Tadasana. I like the feet wide under my hips, natural curves. We'll take 5 breaths here. Long, slow, deep inhalation. Long, slow, deep exhalation. That's something I love to do in my slow flow classes. The standing pranayama, it slows us down. It's sneaky pranayama, and it returns us to the breath as the foreground of the practice. Step your left foot back. Let's do your 1 last time. Once more on each side. Inhale. This time we'll add the arms. Exhale. Come towards 90 degrees and sweep the arms up. You can shift the gaze up. And back bending here. Try for 5 breaths. Maybe you'll make 3. And release. So choice, yogi's choice here, step back through a vinyasa or step forward into Tadasana. If you like a vinyasa, you take a plank and a chaturanga. Inhale, up to cobra. And exhale, back to downward facing dog. Descend the heels. Just one breath here. Look forward, step or jump. Inhale, exhale. Come all the way up. Release. It was an unexpected delight. Step the right foot back. I didn't know we were going to do a vinyasa. Second side, inhale. Exhale, descend towards 0-1. Sweep the arms up. It's a back bend. It's a bold, powerful, sweaty pose. 5 breaths if you can. And release, step forward. Exhale. Triangle pose. Utthita Trikonasana. I like a block, absolutely. So the pelvis is a bony ring. We cannot practice between 2 panes of glass. If we're going to externally rotate our front foot, which this pose requires, we cannot then also externally rotate our back leg. Let the back pelvis come with you, okay? So reach the arms up. I like to turn my front toes out a tiny bit to encourage that whole action. All right. I'm always trying to straighten this front knee. For me, it tends to micro bend a little bit. Lifting here, inhale. Exhale, I tilt my pelvis first. Ooh, you can see that I'm silhouetted from the bright sunlight behind me. Tilt the pelvis first. Do not hold your pelvis still and shift the arms. The pelvis is the beginning of the movement. Yes. Reach out and come down to the block. This arm stacks. Look forward towards your computer, towards your iPad. Look forward at me. Don't look up at the ceiling. That's not good for your neck. If you take experiential anatomy, you'll learn why. Couple breaths here. Old, familiar, delicious pose. How can you draw your attention more inside? An extroverted movement, and you have introverted attention. And turn the top palm and press yourself up. Yes, yes, yes. Bend the front knee, step forward. Let's take the second side. Right toes turn slightly in. The left toes, the front toes now turn slightly out. This whole left leg, thigh, knee, ankle, everything is turning out. And this back pelvis is responding. Sweep the arms up. Exhale. Once again, I pour the pelvis over the front femur, lifting, reaching out, 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 and then eventually down to the block. Extroverted movement, introverted attention. What helps me to turn my attention more deeply inward is to bring my attention to the breath. Feeling the breath move. In and out, up and down, front and back. And turn the top palm, press, and lift up. Release. All right, let's do triangle one more time. Right toes turn out, back to the first side. Moving from the pelvis here. Let's start with the hands on the hips. Exhale, just practice this movement a couple times, especially if it's newer to you. Forget about the back pelvis. Mama always says, your pelvis is smarter than you. So don't tell it what to do. Pour the pelvis forward, reach that right arm forward, 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 and then down. By the way, this mat that I'm using, I'm totally in love with. I don't want to practice on anything else. I've got like 6 yoga mats behind my couch here. This is from Hugger Mugger, and I have a tagged link you can use if you want to order it. If you go to lizzielasseter.com/rest, R-E-S-T, then the link is there for this mat, which I adore. It's grippy for standing poses, but it's padded and soft for restorative. Inhale. And release. Second side. Last time, we want to get warm into this standing pose because twisted triangle is coming next. Preview. Spoiler alert. We're going to work with twisting from the pelvis. So hands on the hips, exhale. It's almost like a dance move here. Really feeling the kind of sensual sliding of this pelvis over that left front leg femur, the head of the femur. Feel it roll. It's a ball and socket joint. Feel the pelvis roll. And now extend your left hand out, out, out. Think out first, and then eventually, reluctantly down. And stack the hands. This is such a phenomenal pose because it's a back bend and a twist. The legs are involved. The arms are engaged. It's like an optimistic pose. You can't be pessimistic and depressed when you're making this movement, I feel like. The nervous system is informing the emotional system, the limbic system of the brain. And this is such, for me, a movement of expansive optimism. Turn the top palm, inhale, press as we come up. Okay. Parvrita Trikonasana. Twisted triangle pose, loathed by yogis around the world. Because one of the reasons I think is because it's taught to hold the pelvis still. There's this weird cue about balancing a teacup on your sacrum. Today we're going to break the teacup. We're going to break that yoga rule with the idea that if you want a happy sacroiliac joint, yes, please, parentheses, yes, please, then you want to twist from your pelvis, keeping your sacrum and your ilia together. Your sacroiliac joint is a movement of stability, not mobility. We talk about this a lot in experiential anatomy. So definitely have a block, maybe two. I like to have 2 blocks to begin the pose. Right foot forward, left foot back. Give yourself a little bit of space here for the hips. Don't worry about heel to arch alignment unless you have an extremely narrow pelvis. Okay, so left arm sweeps up here. Actually, let's bring both arms up. Now we can practice lifting the shoulder blades. Hands and shoulder blades flying up. Exhale, bow forward. Bring your hands to the blocks. If you've only got one, then stack them both on the inside of your front foot. So pause here, establishing the frame, reminding ourselves the principle that twists begin in the hips. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna bring, you can do this a few times, kind of pulsing in and out, bringing that left back pelvis with us forward into the twist. So that's going to happen. The resistance, every pose needs resistance to create itself. The resistance is going to happen from the back thigh, the femur, from the hip joint, not from the sacroiliac joint. So from the back thigh is moving back and creating some stability, which we need from that resistance. Exhaling, twist the left pelvis in as we bring the right fingertips to the waist. This might be it for you today. This is a lot. My front knee is straight. My back pelvis is moving in. And notice my sacrum is almost turned towards you. It's not held here. If it feels good, reach the top arm up. Last couple breaths. And release. Fingertips come down. Drop the occiput for just a moment. Completely fold forward. And inhale. Come up to standing. Ooh. Let's take a Tadasana here. Couple breaths. Integrating. Heart up, brain down. Don't question or get attracted to confusion. Just breathing here. Let the breath breathe you. Two more breaths. Second side. So this time, my left foot is forward. Left, right, left, right, left, right. Yoga teacher's disease. Move your feet apart here so your hips really have space to twist. And reach the arms up. Fly those shoulder blades up with you, but you don't have to then fly the ribs. You can still soften here and lift. Exhaling, reach forward and then down to your blocks or both hands onto one block. For a moment, we're pausing and then playing with that movement, bringing that right pelvis forward, coming into the twist. Yes, 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 yes. So, okay. Now it's that right femur, that back. You might have to adjust your feet as you're finding your way. The back femur is resisting. It's moving straight back towards the wall behind me. And then I move my pelvis into the twist. And I bring my left hand onto my waist. Ooh, can you see the difference here between this? Can you feel the difference, more importantly, between this and holding that pelvis back? Bring it with you into the pose. Oh, just like unfurls the whole twist along the spine. I feel longer, taller, juicier. If you like, you can stack. Expand. That's another absolute pose of optimism. Feeling this underside waist here. The right underside waist is twisting and curling under. Last breath. And release. Bring your hands down to the support of one or two blocks and drop the head for just a moment. Releasing that octopus. Occiput. And let's step forward, keep the head low, come into Uttanasana here. Could feel really nice, especially if you've got two blocks to take a little bit of support. We'll be here a couple breaths. Support under the head. Okay. Now setting my block aside, I'm going to step back into dog pose, Adho Mukha. Descend the heels. So, even though we're in a different relationship to gravity here, I'm still moving my shoulder blades towards my hands because my arms are in full flexion. So I'm not holding them down the back like this. Instead, I'm moving them up. Feels much more spacious in the shoulder joint. I feel as though I could keep extending forever. There's no bony block there because when we hold it down, we create a bony block and entrap the supraspinatus tendon. One more breath. Two more breaths. Three more breaths. Taking your time here. Completely releasing the occiput, the back of the neck and skull. And release. So we're going to come down onto the belly. If you don't have a padded mat, then you might want to put a blanket just for your bones against the floor. Find your way all the way down, and let's pause. Bow pose. Bend your knees, take a hold of your ankles. If you need a strap, you can hold onto a strap here to lengthen your arms. So this is a back bend. We're going to lift up away from the floor. Inhale the breath. Exhale. Lift the shoulder blades down the back, lift the head, and inhale, fly up. Maybe 3 breaths. So the principle we're working with in this pose, we're going to do it a couple more times, is in back bends, no tucking of the tailbone. And what's so great about bow pose is that it's almost impossible. Like nobody has the urge to tuck the tailbone. So you can really feel the movement pattern, this healthy movement pattern. A backbend is a backbend along the entire vertebral column, including the tailbone. All right, second time. Bend the knees, take a hold. Inhale. Exhale, prepare. And inhale, fly up. Tailbone flies up. Heart lifts up. Feet fly up. And release. So many of us have been taught to hold the knees together in this pose, which is wonderful if you happen to be born with a narrow pelvis, a narrow male Indian pelvis, perhaps. But if you have a different body shape, we want to respect the sacral width. So I just say let the knees be as wide as they want. You'll find your natural width of where you have the most leverage and where it feels good in your body. Poses that feel good are poses that you will practice more often. That's what Mama always said. Okay, last time. Inhale. Exhale, prepare. And inhale, come on. Maybe 5 breaths here. And release all the way down. Let go of the feet. Roll yourself onto your back. Back to where we started. Returning to the scene of the crime. Let's do that Supta Tadasana once again. Flexing the feet, engaging, and inhale. Reach up. Shoulder blades fly up. Funny how after, there's a sequencing principle Mom talks about. The effect of any pose is related to the pose that came before it. So when we did this at the beginning of the practice, I felt much more creaky in my body. And now I feel warm. And after that back bend, this just feels so gentle, like such a relief. And release. For teachers, that's a really nice, many of you know, like sequencing principle to return to a pose then after. The pose hasn't changed, but we sense how we have shifted. Inhale. A couple more times here. Take 1 breath at the top. Full, luxurious, luscious round of breath. Inhale. And exhale. And inhale. Exhale brings you down. Another thing I do in slow flow is these what I call empty breaths. We can do one here at the bottom. Inhale. Exhale. You breathe without moving to highlight. Inhale lifts us up, the relationship between the breath and the movement. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, do nothing. And inhale. Exhale brings us down. So can you do the same movement, the same action, but can you soften inside a little bit? Inhale. Exhale, do nothing. Last time, inhale, sweep the arms up and over. And exhale, let's take an empty breath here. Soften the ambition, soften the performance of the poses. Exhale. Inhale, and the exhale brings us down. We're going to do a few more poses, bend the knees, and then eventually Shavasana. Shavasana is coming. Let's do some bridging here. So press into the feet, lift the pelvis, the arms come up at the same time, and exhale, release. So we're connecting the movement and the breath simultaneously. And I like to play here with inhaling, lifting the arms, trying to coordinate the length of the inhalation so it finishes. The pelvis is at the top, the hands are at the top, and the breath is at the top, all at the same time. And exhaling, reverse, so that the exhalation ends, very challenging. The exhalation ends at the same moment the pelvis and the hands come down. Maybe 4 more breaths like this. Inhale. Exhale. Twice more in excuse me, twice more in your own rhythm. Find your block and place it underneath your pelvis for a supported bridge on the highest setting, or can even be the lowest setting. Feel a slight sense of your tailbone pointing down towards the floor. It's almost like it's looking over the fence. And then interlace the hands, come up onto the shoulders, close the eyes. We begin to move our attention more and more inward. We are becoming introverts. We have passed the peak poses of this practice, and we are now descending the mountain on the other side towards Shavasana. Switch the interlace of your hands, keeping the frame of the body the same. Can you soften on the inside, releasing some of the effort? Press into the feet, lift up, remove the block, and roll yourself down. Hmm. Okay. A few really sort of nourishing therapeutic movements now. I don't know if this is actually yoga, but I don't care. I do this a lot in my practice. Just rolling now your pelvis in one direction. You can also lift about 2 centimeters, 1 inch off the floor. There's so much that has to happen, these complex, coordinated sequence of movements, of muscle actions that come together like a symphony to create this simple movement. And switch directions, begin to move in the other direction. I find it feels so healthy on my lower back. My lower back just kind of sings after this. All these little paraspinal muscles are firing, even the kind of the psoas has to contract and release. And relax, let go, just let yourself, let the knees fall together. Bring the arms out to the side. Let's take 5 somewhat deep breaths. Inhaling to 5 if you can. If there's no strain or force, inhale to 5, exhale to 5, times 5. 5 is the number of today's practice. Inhale. And exhale. Three more breaths, continuing on your own. Roll yourself to the side. And press yourself up to sitting. We'll do a simple seated twist and then a seated forward bend and then Shavasana. I like Bharadvajasana as a simple twist. So open your legs, let them be where they want to sit, stacked or a little bit more open. And then I like to use my blocks here because my arms are not that long when I sit like, or I have a very long torso. So now using the principle, the pelvis comes with you into the twist. We're twisting to the right first. So that left pelvis is coming with me. I don't inhibit that movement. I don't prevent this from happening. I invite this back pelvis to come with me, with me, with me, with me, with me. And I twist. Unwind. Second side. Inhale, bring that right pelvis with me. Back pelvis comes into the twist. And I walk around. No force or strain here. What is enough yoga? What is enough of a twist? How many breaths is enough? Exhale. Interoception, real time reading or listening to the internal signals from your body. This is what we're training in yoga, and it serves us in our lives. and release. Okay, seated forward bend. These are really challenging poses if you have tight hamstrings, which so many of us do. So we're going to start with Dandasana. Both legs are straight and forward. This is a kind of diagnosis moment. You're going to see what's happening with your pelvis. If you're really rotated back, then I would honestly suggest you just go to the wall and do half dog pose at the wall to close your practice with a symmetrical forward bending movement. If you're in neutral, as I am, I'm going to elevate myself onto a blanket to invite my pelvis to tilt forward. So you could use a pillow, a firm pillow, or a blanket here. I'm just putting the corner underneath, kind of between my sitting bones. So it's tilting me forward. You can see now this line, I love this silhouetted light here. You can see the line here is tilting forward. And now I am going to take probably 2 blocks here. Inhale. Exhale. We'll take Paschimottanasana. Resist the urge, if you've been taught that, to lift the chin, to back bend, to dive forward, to open the chest. There's a lot of words for this. Soften the chin. Instead, think lengthen the occiput, the back of the skull here, as you creep your fingertips forward, and then take the support of your blocks, or you can even stand a bolster up here if you need more height. Find a resting position for the hands, something that feels good. This is a pose of surrender, letting go. Release. Maybe 5 more breaths here. Inhale. Slowly coming back up. Shavasana. My favorite pose. Okay. Something to support your knees, something to support your head, neck, and shoulders, an eye cover, warm socks if you're chilly, a blanket to cover up. So I'm going to put my feet into sort of Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees open and supported. Cover myself with a blanket. My surface that I'm lying on is padded. Third eye mask, pillow. I have a timer for us, so we're going to practice together. Make sure you tuck your head support all the way down to your shoulders. Cover your eyes. Shavasana is a pose of integration. It's a moment or a few minutes in the day when you're not producing or creating anything. If anything was new in this experiential anatomy inspired class, if there were any new cues or ideas for you, let go of them now. They're there, you felt them, it's experiential learning, you felt it in your body. Heart up, brain down. Let go of any chatter you might be inclined towards right now to try to figure any of this out. If you're very curious, you should, of course, enroll in Experiential Anatomy, which is a great course, and we'll answer all of your questions. But for now, just let the body lead. Invite the body to release, to soften, to open. And descend down into this moment, into the gift of Shavasana. Inhale the breath. And exhaling. Bring your hands to your belly. Slowly roll yourself to the side and find your way up to sitting. Find a comfortable seated position. Close your eyes and reflect, moving towards an interoceptive state, an introverted state. Yoga is a process of action, reflection, Mama always says. Last minute or two here before we close our practice to reflect. Not on the ideas, but on the sensations. Inhaling, open the palms away from the body. With an exhalation, bring them together in front of your heart. Namaste. May we live like the lotus, at home in the muddy water. Thank you so much for your practice today. It is an honor to share this love of yoga with you. I do hope you'll consider joining Experiential Anatomy. It's a lot of fun in addition to all of the learning that takes place. You can find that at lassiter.yoga, and you can use the coupon code back to school for 40% off through September 27th, 2023. I'd also love, last thing I'll say, for you to join my newsletter. It's called Rest with Lizzie Lassiter. You can find that here if you go to lizzie.yoga. That's my website. Sign up for the newsletter, which goes out every Sunday with stories of raising my 4-year-old twin boys and sustainable self-care. You can also find my spirit jewelry line there and the third eye math, plus on-demand yoga classes, etc. Big namaste. Thank you so much. See you on the next new moon.